Welcome one, welcome all to the wondrous land of RBYM. I am Ninja 3.24 and this is my basic tutorial to get you started and building some fine, fantastic mechs. So I'm going to go over the first 5 tools, 6 and 7 are kind of extras thrown on. And so yeah, let's hop right into it. So I'm going to start with tool number 2 because that's probably the most important tool you're ever going to use. By the way, you can get to any of these tools by pressing your numbers. So if I just swipe my hand across my keyboard like a maniac, you can see it switches between all of the tools. So tool number 2 is your copy tool. This is, as I said before, the most important tool probably in the entire game. So if we can use it, click and drag and bring out any block from any of these pedestals. And mind you, these are your blocks to work with, but you can find more in tool number 6, the insert tool, like meshes, the very bottom. You can find ramps and stuff and whatever you want. That's kind of underground, but whatever. Anyway, tool number 2, you can copy whatever you want. It'll show you how many parts you have. So right now we have 7 out of the part limit, 2,500, and it also tells you right up there. Okay, so now that we have our little stack of 2x2 blocks, we can move on to our first tool. The multi-tool carries 5 different tools within it. You can reach them by pressing any of these keys while having the multi-tool equipped. So the first tool is F, and that's your paint tool. You have this wide selection of colors to choose from, such as pink and dusty rose and khaki, cyan, deep blue, dark blue, medium stone gray, if that's what you're up to. Got really black. And basically you choose any of the colors and you can paint whatever you want. And then also there is this tool. This is the color picker. So we can pick any color. Right now we're on maroon, which is what I painted these 3 blocks at the bottom. But once we select this and click the black blocks, it'll instantly change to the color they are, which is really black. So now we can paint all that again. The next tool is G, the material tool. With the material tool, you can click on any block and change its material. Everything starts out, well, just about everything starts out on smooth plastic. You can change to granite, pebble, neon, well, it doesn't show up because it's black, diamond plate, if you look really closely. There's also transparency, which, as you guessed, lets you change how transparent it is, but it only lets you go up to 0.8. Anyway, so we got reflectance and then collision. So if I stand on top of this and then turn collision off on it, I'll just sink right through it, and anything can pass through it, blocks, whatnot, everything. Even the floor, this can fall through the floor. Okay, so the next tool is H. You can either be on normal mode or classic mode. On normal mode, you can select any face you want, so I typically only use it if I'm changing every face of something, and you can choose between a bunch of these. Probably if you're ever going to change, it's either going to be to smooth or hinge. Smooth parts, like, you can't see it, but smooth parts won't connect to other smooth parts. And hinges spin freely. And then classic mode is just you can click on anything. So if we change that to hinge, we can click there and it's a hinge. Click there, it's a hinge. There, all hinges everywhere. Okay, the next tool is J, our configure tool. And the configure tool doesn't work on every block, but if I pull over a motor, this is a motor block, and I press J, I can change the torque, which is also the speed for some reason. And if it turns clockwise or counterclockwise. And then last but not least in our multi-tool, K, which is probably the tool you're going to use the most besides 2, the copy tool. So K lets you resize things up to 50 blocks. You can turn collision on or off. So let's say collision is on. If I just make a little tower there. If collision is on, it won't let me resize through that part. If collision is off, I can resize through it easy peasy. And another fun trick is if you have collision on and make something really small, it'll become 0.05 thick, which you normally can't do. Normally the minimum size you can make something is 0.2, I think? Yeah, 0.2. And you can see that right there. It shows all three of the values of like the directions. So normally these basic blocks come out as a 2x2x2, and I made this one a 2x2 by 0.2, and this one is 2x2 by 0.05. Okay, moving right along, tool number 3, this is your fantastic move tool. With the move tool, you can click and drag anything anywhere you want. So you can put it on the floor, you can put it on this little tower I made before, or way up there. And you can't move things outside of your building zone. You can also move by using these little blue dots around the cube. And there are 3 different movement options. You have global, local, and last. You're probably going to use global a lot if you're just beginning. Global just moves things around relative to the base plate, so like what I'm standing on currently. You also have local and last. I wouldn't worry too much about local, but I'll say what it does. But I have to go over last first. So if we just make this a bit longer, we have a triangle, right? That we stretched with our resize tool. So now we can click and drag and move this onto the triangle. And first of all, fun fact to note is that now the cube is on an angle. So you can actually build things on angles in this game. So if we make a different angle and copy it and put it on this angle, now it's at a completely different angle. Now, for global, obviously, it moves relative to the base plate, not to the ramp, so if we move it, it's just gonna fly right off the ramp. Also, you can see in the bottom right there on the menu that pops up, it shows you how many studs you moved something. So if I wiggle this around, it'll go from 0 to 11, I think it looked like. So if we bring that back to 0, we can change it to last. Now you might have noticed the blue dots changed places when I went from global to last. That's because the last tool moves things relative to the block you're moving. So now I can move this down the ramp and it won't fly off. And now the local tool, which you probably won't use a lot, but I'll just describe anyway. It's like a last tool, but with multiple parts. So you can move 2 things on 2 separate angles. Normally, if I had last on, they would just move relative to 1. Oh, also, before I go on any further, it's important to note that some tools let you select a lot of things at once. So either you can do that by hand, so like say for a paint tool, if you hold down Control or Shift, but Shift lock is on for me, you can hold down Control, then click multiple things, select them all at once, and then change what color they are. Or you can hold down Control and click and drag, and it'll select a bunch of them at once. So we can select this entire tower, and you can hold down Control and click them again to deselect them. But that doesn't apply to all tools, only some. Important to note. Tool number 4 is your delete tool. Now with your delete tool, you can just click on any block and it'll disappear. And then you can bring them back. You can either do Shift Z or just click the button. I like to click the button because why not? And you can also redo deletes, whatever you want. Okay, last but not least is the Mech-Tool. So with the Mech-Tool, you can control different things via keybinds. Now, right now, we have the Edit and Control tab. If I go into the Control tab, there's nothing here to control because we haven't set up anything for it to control. So let's bring out the aforementioned motor. Actually, let's bring out a few things. Motor, a light, and I don't know, I guess that's it. An activator, why not? Oh. Okay, so if we bring out our 5 tool and go into Edit, we'll see some instructions. Left mouse button equals new and right mouse button equals edit. So when we mouse over these blocks, these are editable blocks, so we can left click on them and this menu comes up. We can put in the selected keybind, the action, and the name, but I don't do anything with the names. So for the selected keybind, it'll ask you to put in a letter. So let's say R, because that's close to W, A, S, and D. Oop, missed enter key a few times. The selected action, you have a bunch of options here. Normal, opposite, delayed opposite, hold normal, and hold opposite. So let's put it on normal. No, let's put it on delayed opposite, because that's a fun one. So we have R, delayed opposite, and the delay time, let's set that to 0.3. So basically what this means is when I press R, it'll do a delayed opposite bind, and the delay is 0.3 seconds. So let's confirm that keybind, and we can put that on all three of these. So now when we go into our control tab, you can see we have the button R that popped up, right? So everything's frozen currently because I'm not in battle mode yet, but what you can see when I press R twice, it waits 0.3 seconds and turns everything on or off. And we can go back in and let's just say delayed opposite. Not delayed opposite, just normal opposite. Oh. So now when we go into control, you can see there's no delay from when the button changes color and when everything turns on and off. And we can also put things like, let's just put this light on a normal bind, so that way it'll turn on when the other ones go off. Anyway, I believe that's just about it for the tools, so we're gonna move on to the blocks now. So we have these pedestals, I suppose, around your garage. We're gonna focus on, well, we're gonna cover all of them, but these are the most important ones. These are your basic building blocks. So you have your normal blocks: sphere, round prism, prism, inner tetra, tetra, inner round, and tetra round. So block, copy them off the grid, and you can put them anywhere you want on each other, and you can put them inside each other too if you want. So now we have a circle inside that. You can change the size. And then same deal over here, except some of these are kind of wonky. Like, I find the hexagons tend to fall off a lot, so I don't use them a lot. These are the classic BYM Interactives. So we have a thruster. When it's on, it produces, it pushes, it makes force. It's like a rocket. Water buoy floats in water, which you can see out there. We have hovers, which hover at a certain height. The default height is 50. Camera part, where when you turned it on, you look through it. And the three different aim parts. These three aim parts are probably my favorite parts in the entire game. The aim part full, basically when you have it on and you have your mech controller out and on control, if it's not attached to the floor or anything, it will aim wherever you click. So let's say I click there, it would aim there. If I click there, it would aim there, so on and so forth. And that's the full aim, so it would like, if I clicked up there, it would look up and everything. The aim part strafe, that's only horizontal, so only like that. And the aim part angle is just up and down. Sound part is a configurable part, so if we pull one out, we can press J, the multi-tool J, the configure tool, click it, and you can put any sound ID from the Roblox library you want inside of it and change if it's looped or not. Classic BYM Interactives again. With the door parts, it's normally collide, but if you click it, it becomes non-collide and lets things pass through it. The anchor part will become solid and won't move no matter what if it's turned on. Click delete parts. Once you enter battle mode, once you click them, they get deleted. Easy peasy. Point lights, they just shine a light around themselves. Conveyors are interesting and they don't do what you might expect them to do. They do what you'd expect them to do, but they also let people fly. So for instance, if I put this in the air and enter battle mode, it's just gonna go that way and then freak out because it hit the door. Then we have the activator, Activators, if they're on and touch something that can be turned on, it will turn them on. Motors will spin when they're on. And spotlights will just shine light in a direction. So as you can see, as I'm turning this, the light changes. Okay, now we have the mechanisms. You're definitely going to want to know about the mech seat. Mech seats are probably the most important seat because they let you actually control mechs. So if I enter battle mode, it'll drop to the floor, and when I sit on it and jump, then it connects me to whatever the mech seat is attached to. So say I move that up and take a block from over there. I can put that down there, say. So now when I enter battle mode and sit in the mech seat, now the mech seat attaches me to whatever the mech seat is attached to. So like these blocks would be a mech, for instance. We've got magnets. The negative magnets go to the positive magnets, not the other way around. Sticky parts. Sticky parts will stick to anything they touch. Wheels are wheels. Passenger seat. Anyone can sit in anyone can sit in any of the seats, but a passenger seat is just for sitting. Driver's seat lets you control the wheels. Mech seat, we discussed. A hover seat lets you glide around wherever the seat is. Okay, we have a stabilizer. Stabilizers will try their darndest to stay upright. Particle emitters emit particles like that. And you can configure this so you can change whatever, you can make it whatever image you want. And you can have it locked on or not. So if it's not locked on, it'll be like that. And if it is locked on, well, it'll lock on. Trail parts, they make a trail wherever they go. That slowly fades away. Follower enemies, don't make drones, kids. A follower enemy, it follows people. It aims at an enemy. So there's no one else on the server currently, so it won't aim at anyone. Follower all aims at whoever, and follower pet aims at you. So if I quickly enter battle mode, you can see wherever I go, it'll follow. So you can make little pets to follow you around. You have decal parts. You can put anything you want, any image, into the decal by changing that image ID. And same thing for texture parts, except texture parts will show it a bunch, like that. Okay, now we get to the fun part. These are your weapons. So there are 3 distinct weapons. There's bumpers, spikes, and TNT. So bumpers, whenever a bumper hits an enemy block, it'll knock the block off, and then itself will get knocked off. Spikes are what kills people. Now mind you, spikes do not knock off enemy blocks, and bumpers do not kill people. Then TNT is fun. TNT explodes and does a decent amount of damage. So normal TNT, I think, just explodes when you hit a mech. Pressure bombs explode when you tell it to. I've never used that TNT in my life, so I have no idea what it does. And impact TNT explodes when it hits anything, including the walls, ceiling, floor, or even parts of your own mech. Then there's just some fun meshes over here. We got corner wedge, cone, power shield, which isn't here, and fuse. Alright, well that's all the tools and all the blocks covered. There's only one lesson left. This is an extremely important lesson that a lot of people don't figure out. And they really should, because it's one of the basic principles of the game, right? So let's say we have a red and a purple block. Right now, I think we can all agree that they are not connected together, and if I enter battle mode, they're going to fall, right? Well, that one is, because this one's attached to the floor. Hold on. There. Now it'll fall. So these are not connected. Now that is a connection. These 2 blocks are now connected, and if I unanchored, which I'm not gonna because I don't want to rebuild it again, if I unanchored, these 2 would be together. Also, if I say unanchored, I mean enter battle mode, because they're the same thing. This is the important part. This is what a lot of new players confuse, and it actually leads to a lot of people quitting because everything they build falls apart. This is not attached. These two blocks, actually, I am gonna enter battle mode and show this. These two blocks are not connected, and they will leave each other. That is because blocks only connect to surfaces. So like I said, that's not connected, but now their surfaces are connected. Both surfaces are directly against each other. They are connected. In this position, there are no surfaces connected, right? Sure, like the red block's going through the purple block, but none of their surfaces are connected. So let's say you really want something to look like this, right? What you'd have to do is resize, oh, that's not resize. What you'd have to do is resize this so that one end is there, make another block, and then put it in the same place on the other side. So now it looks exactly the same, except this one, if I move all of this off the floor, is going to stick together. The surfaces must connect. That is the most valuable lesson. Alright, well, I think that's just about it. That's everything, really. Yeah, so go have fun, build stuff. Have a jolly, good, fantastic time. If you see me in game, say hi. I'll say hi back, maybe. And yeah, that's about it. Enjoy.